Women may be falling behind on Capitol Hill because their male bosses are actually worried about sending the wrong impression.
The National Journal has discovered that many congressmen will not spend one-on-one time with female staffers, a practice that could be discriminatory. We're joined now by National Journal correspondent Sarah Mimms. Sarah, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So there was an anonymous survey that National Journal did of female staffers who work on Capitol Hill. Tell us about what that found.
Yes, we wanted to conduct a survey for our Women in Washington issue to kind of get a feeling for the challenges that women face on Capitol Hill. We know that there are many more men serving in Congress, but there are also many more male staffers on the Hill than women, particularly in high-level positions. There were a few people who responded to that survey, women staffers, who said that they weren't allowed to be alone in an office with their bosses. They weren't allowed to attend evening events with their member of Congress or drive him around because their members were concerned about how it would look to have a male member of Congress seen too frequently out of office with young women.
And now you spoke to a number of members of Congress about some of these findings, right?
Yeah, I did. I reached out to several offices, and I cover Congress on the Hill, so I went up to numerous members and talked to them about this issue. What was interesting is that to a person, all of the male lawmakers that I talked to said that they could at least understand why these policies existed. They said it's something that they worry about. Some worry about it more than others and have instituted policies like this. Jason Chaffetz told me that he has a policy where his staffers, male and female, are only allowed to be in the office from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. unless they get express permission, because he just doesn't want anyone to think that something else is going on. He doesn't want to be left alone in an office with a female staffer.
And you also spoke to Senator Susan Collins, right, who said that she had never even heard that these kinds of policies would even exist.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Susan Collins was a staffer on the Hill in the 1970s and 80s when you think that this would have been more of a problem. And Collins said, no, this is something I've never heard of before. She called it stunning and laughable. And she also pointed out that the reverse isn't true. Here she is, a female senator. She has many male staffers, and it's never occurred to her to not spend time with them one-on-one, to not have them drive her around. She said her job would be so much more difficult if she couldn't do that.
I mean, really, we're talking about access here, and the access that young women particularly might have to these congressmen. Is anything being done to change these circumstances?
That's an interesting question. I spoke to a number of people on the Hill. I want to emphasize that this isn't a majority of offices. It's very much a minority. Many people on the Hill had never heard of this kind of policy. But for those women who have, it's very difficult for you to move up in a congressional office if you can't staff your boss one-on-one, if you can't go to events with him. I spoke to male staffers who said that they were invited to events where a woman staffer was the expert on that issue, but the man had to go because their boss wouldn't attend an evening event with a woman. So it really is a huge impediment to the careers of some of these young women, especially.
And we just showed a graphic of an employment discrimination attorney, Deborah Katz, who said that if you can't develop a trustful relationship where you're having some one-on-one time, as the men are apparently getting, I can see many reasons why this is a terrible idea, terrible in the sense of discriminatory. Did you talk to female staffers who really felt like they were being held back professionally because of some of these policies?
Oh, absolutely. One of the female staffers that I spoke with, said that she had experienced this in the past. It caused her to leave that office because she knew that if she couldn't get that one-on-one time the same way that the men were, she was never going to rise to a level of a communications director or a chief of staff. She's now in another office where this is not the case. But numerous people I talked to said that that was a huge impediment and they had to search for work elsewhere.
All right. Sarah Mimms with the National Journal, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.